Proverbs offers men much wisdom related to avoiding the trap of sexually immoral relationships with women. However, Solomon's greatest personal weakness was with women. He is recorded as having 700 wives and 300 concubines. Unfortunately, as Solomon grew old, his wives turned his heart after other gods. Solomon knew what was right. Why didn't he follow his own advice concerning women? Many explanations have been offered, though the Bible does not specifically give the answer. It should be mentioned that Solomon's father, David, also struggled in this area, though not to the extent that Solomon did. David took many wives and concubines, but even then he lusted after Bathsheba and committed adultery with her. Like father, like son, they say, and Solomon, it seemed, inherited his father's sin and amplified it in his own life. One reason often noted for Solomon failing to follow his own advice is that Solomon learned his lessons from experience. If the Proverbs were compiled in the latter part of Solomon's life, it would make sense that he recorded wise sayings to help others avoid problems that he had dealt with in his own life. If so, the Proverbs of Solomon are deeply personal, since they were born out of the author's personal struggles with foolishness. Another possible reason that Solomon did not follow his own advice regarding women is that there's a difference between having knowledge and applying knowledge. Solomon knew it was wrong to obtain many wives. In fact, it was against the Mosaic law, but he did it regardless of his knowledge. Solomon likely later regretted his choices, as can be seen in the way he speaks of avoiding sexual immorality in Proverbs. A third possible answer to this issue is that not all the book of Proverbs was written by Solomon. The book indicates that some of the Proverbs were written by other wise men. A fourth possible reason that Solomon did not follow his own advice concerning women can be found in the second part of 1 Kings 11:4. His heart was not fully devoted to the Lord his God, as the heart of David his father had been. The historian notes that it was when Solomon was older that he strayed from God's ways. God then gave a judgment concerning Solomon in his kingdom. Since Solomon had experienced judgment in his own life in this area, he determined to help others to avoid similar judgment in their lives. In the end, we have some possible reasons why Solomon may have neglected his own advice, but we're not told for certain in Scripture. Solomon was extremely wise, but he was a man with temptations like any other person. He obeyed God in many areas, yet he often failed in his relationships with women. Instead of questioning the reasons why Solomon failed to follow his own advice, we would do better to learn from his mistakes and his wisdom recorded in Proverbs to avoid these problems in our own lives.